Verse. On behalf of the Pathfinder group, I welcome you to the 22nd Pakistan breakfast. Distinguished guests, obviously we have our esteemed Finance Minister Aurangzeb with us, Managing Director Mirek, Ross Perot, old friend and chairman of the Perot group of companies. We'll obviously welcome both the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister as well, family members, old friends. Thank you very much for coming. We are delighted to have you today. We are probably in this world seeing the most significant global realignment we have seen since 1945. Old alliances are being torn apart. NATO is under pressure. Trade alliances are being completely rewritten, and great pressure is being exerted under the post-Cold War order that had been maintained with some degree of success. In it walks in Pakistan, a country of over 220 million people and counting. And where does Pakistan find itself? In an optimal situation, frankly speaking. We are a country which has got a youth population, skilled labor, technologically progressing, but also a country abundant with natural resources. And especially, I know there will be a lot of conversation and people much better equipped to deal with artificial intelligence, startups. We have a breakfast that will focus exclusively on that. And there will be people much more knowledgeable than me that will deal with that. But I'd like to take a step backwards first on something that is perhaps even more germane and critical to us, which is really our natural resources, and specifically critical minerals, rare earth minerals. We have perhaps the largest gold and copper deposits in the world. This will be the function that Pakistan finds itself in. A pivotal functions, the supply chain that has been broken first by COVID and now by the trade barriers that have been put into place. Pakistan has natural resources in copper, cobalt, lithium, and if you go by geological studies, even in rare earth minerals, which would be a true game changer for us. This administration, government, has done a fantastic job in developing those resources, putting in place a framework of trade and development that projects almost 6 trillion worth of mineral deposits that could be available. Almost 2.8 billion comes from just from the Rekordik copper and gold deposits annually that we hope to develop. I think this will be truly Pakistan's moment if we can harness these resources going forward. And what we do over here will determine what position Pakistan finds itself in going forward. So with that, I welcome you again to our annual breakfast. You'll hear next from Ross Perot. We'll give you the mic. Ross, old friend of ours, the first man to have flown a helicopter in less than 30 days around the world. He sits on many boards, also recently referenced in a show. So, an old friend of ours. Thank you, Ross. We'll have you say a few words.
No, thank you very much. And Ikram, thank you and your family for inviting me at this, our 22nd Pakistani breakfast. And Joel, great to see you again. All three of us used to work in an institute called the East-West Institute. And we were focused on Track 2 diplomacy, helping to build bridges around the world. And our founder, John Morose, was a critical player in maintaining global peace and stability. And that's why I became friends with Ikram and Joel. And if you look at the world today, I'm also chairman of the United States Chamber. And so we are very active around the world, building business ties throughout the world. We've sent over 25 delegations out around the world last year. We have over 3,000 chapters in the United States, 140 offices around the world, and we're very active promoting global economic growth between our countries. And we've had a very active program with Pakistan and a very good Pakistan dialogue between United States business and Pakistani business. And so it's an exciting time for us as we continue to grow these relationships. And Zarrar, as you said, the world is under strain. But from a business perspective, as the politicians do what they do, it's up to us to keep the ties together. And these long-term business ties that we have had can maintain the stability. And so we're working very hard building that stability around the world, building prosperity and economic growth. And it's a very exciting time in the world. You have things you can worry about, but also with the AI revolution that's coming, it is going to be huge productivity increases. It's going to be a very exciting time to see. And all of us, I'm sure, embracing AI, and learning how to use those tools. And the improvement, AI today is very crude compared to what you'll see in 10 years. And you read about the demand on energy with AI, the demand for chips, et cetera, but you'll see huge efficiency gains in AI, huge efficiency in the GPU. And so you will see this revolution continue and it become more and more productive for the world and a great tool to make the world even more successful. So Zarrar, thank you. I'm glad to be back. And I have to remind the group one more time what a great helicopter pilot your father is. And so he came to see me, and I'm still an active helicopter pilot. And so Ikram, I put him in the helicopter. He didn't need any warm up at all. It'd been 20 years, 25 years since he'd flown. He took the helicopter off. He flew around Texas, and he got us back in one piece. So this is a natural helicopter pilot and a very natural and a very good friend. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'm so impressed, Zarrar, that you watch Landman in Pakistan. I mean, because Landman, being a Texan, this is kind of who we are. And we have all the Taylor studios. So we have the largest studios in Texas now. And so Taylor films all those shows in our studios. And I know Taylor, I know the cast. And if you watch Lioness?
I do.
The last scene of Lioness, Nicole Kidman, was in our barn, which you have seen. She filmed it in the barn, and she's with us for a week. If you've been around Hollywood, it's not very efficient. I mean, if it's a businessman, you look around and say, how come they're not working all the time? But we had 300 people in the barn, and they turned our barn into a hacienda. It was a big drug dealer operation. And they said, Nicole's going to come in, kill a drug dealer. Do you mind that? And I go to my wife, and a lot of us know Sarah. And Sarah, I said, you mind if they kill somebody in the barn? She said, no killing in the barn. You can't kill people in the barn. And I said, okay. I went back to Taylor. I said, Taylor, she doesn't want to kill anybody in the barn. He goes, okay. Can we kill them outside the barn? And I go, well, let me check. And so he said, look, we're going to kill them outside the barn, but you're not really going to see them get killed. I said, okay. And so we watched the show together, and Sarah said, even that was too much. So I'm not sure any more killing in the barn. But you look at that last scene, it's in the barn. And so we look forward to, if you come to Texas, make sure you stop by to visit. It will show everybody the studios in the barn. But I'm excited that the Texas culture makes it around the world. And I look forward to telling, because I have friends in Africa watch it, Europe watch it. Now I'll tell Taylor that he's got great fans in Pakistan. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. And we grew up watching Dallas, so Landman wasn't a big jump. I'll turn next to Mirek Dušek, Managing Director here at the World Economic Forum. And I know, Mirek, thank you for joining us. I know there are many demands on your time, especially this week. And your rise in the World Economic Forum has been a rocket ship rise. So I appreciate you coming, and I'll hand it over to you next. Thank you.
Thank you for the amazing partnership with your company, Pathfinder, but also with Pakistan overall. You've been really with the World Economic Forum since the get-go. And so I just wanted to recognize that. It's always a pleasure to be here. I have two functions at the forum. I'm responsible for the overall meeting here. And I also am the Chief Business Officer. And so I work with amazing companies like yours and yours around the world. And that's what makes the World Economic Forum special. That's how we started. We started back in the 70s, really working mainly with companies. And so I'm happy that we also have more and more companies that are joining the World Economic Forum as partners. And you mentioned the AI revolution. And I have to say that when I look, for example, the types of companies that have joined over the past year, we've added 140 companies, major companies from around the world. But you can see the trend. You can see that we are adding companies, particularly in the AI industry, ICT industry, energy, financial services. So there are certain things you can even read from how we at partners at the forum. I also wanted to thank the finance minister. It's a pleasure to be here in your company, and I know you have a long-standing engagement also with the World Economic Forum. Just a few words about the overall context, the way we look at it. I have the pleasure to be working with the team that has designed the program of the annual meeting. You may have seen the theme, Spirit of Dialogue. There are two dimensions to it. One is really about the tradition here. So it's 56th year of the annual meeting in Davos. There is something that people that have been coming for a while called the spirit of Davos, which has always been just a platform for dialogue. I mean, we were obviously existing during the Cold War, then the 1990s, the early 2000s. So we've gone through different geopolitical eras. As you said, Zarrar, I think there is some robust consensus right now that we're entering into a new era. Maybe it's a transition. Maybe we're already in it. It's a more contested world. But just to say that this essential function of people coming together from around the world to exchange ideas, to get better understanding in terms of where they're coming from, has never been more important, and we're building on that tradition this year as well. And then there's the second dimension, which is that we think that because of the contestation, the more complicated, more fragmented geopolitical environment, we need to play our part. And when people say maybe that some multilateral institutions are under pressure, whatever that is, but we feel that it is our duty we do our best to play that part. So you see maybe that we have 65 heads of state and government. We have the President of the United States coming today. We had some European leaders, the Vice President of China here yesterday. So it's really important that we play our part and really drive at that engagement and hopefully also understanding. But I wanted to talk about another aspect which is equally important to me. If I look at the overall world economy landscape, you have the fragmentation, but then you have this unprecedented pace of innovation, technology deployment in industry and society. And so maybe I'll just finish with that. I'm just headed to a session we call Shaping the AI Super System. And Mr. Perot, you mentioned it, that it's not only about the technology, about the large language models, on the world models and the physical AI and the state of economy, but it is really kind of all of industry play right now. And so particularly when policymakers are thinking about how they really do competitiveness in the context of the AI revolution, it's really about thinking about it as a system. You see already that there is tremendous innovation in the financial services system around how to invest in this, how to insure it. There is, of course, huge shifts around energy demand and what it means. You see nuclear coming back big time. You see new technologies also being talked about. And there is other aspects around it. So I just wanted to put it out there because I know Pathfinder, we've also done some work around the whole innovation ecosystem in Pakistan, and this is going to be a big focus for us here at the annual meeting in Davos, and we very much look forward to having you contribute as well there. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mirek. I know you're running from one event to another, so really appreciate your time. I will touch on, despite my promises, I will touch on AI for a second since it's been mentioned. I know we'll discuss digital financial inclusion, and obviously the Pathfinder group has been a leader in that field through our platform, the Asan mobile account, and obviously VRG as well. But I think one way AI can play a critical role in Pakistan's future is really the field of education, because admittedly there's been an education gap in Pakistan with a young population that has been out of school. And I think we've seen a 3-year degree and a 4-year degree has now been replaced by artificial intelligence. And that skill can be taught in under a year, what used to take 3 and 4 years. And I think that's where artificial intelligence can really make up that gap very quickly going forward. So I think what used to take a very long time, I think Pakistan can make up that gap very, very quickly. And I think that's where that's where artificial intelligence will really help, bridge that gap for us. So So I think, thank you, Mirek, for bringing AI into it as well, and thank you very much. I bring next to our keynote speaker, Senator Aurangzeb, Finance Minister. Obviously delighted to have you. What can we say about your career? 35 years plus in the finance industry. You've been CEO of many banks, HBL, notably, but also JP Morgan Chase in the Asia region. MBA from Wharton, and you've held many positions across other banks as well. More pertinently, you've been the architect of reforms through the IMF and others through, in Pakistan. You've revived the economic growth in Pakistan, brought it on sound footing, and we are obviously very keen and excited to see where you take Pakistan next economically. So with that, I give the mic to you. Thank you very much for being here.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ikram Saab, I think, has just left probably for seeing off the MD. Zarrar Sehgal Saab, Pathfinder Group, distinguished participants. It's a real pleasure to be here, back again. I'll just pick it up from where we left it in last January in terms of Pakistan's journey. And you'll hear, obviously, from the Prime Minister in terms of where we are, but more importantly, where we are going. During the course of last year, we have consolidated our gains in terms of macroeconomic stability. So all the macro indices, whether it's our current account, whether it's our fiscal surpluses, whether it's inflation, which is now down to single digits, the policy rate, which is down, stable FX, our reserves now at 2.3 times import cover. All of that sort of moving in the right direction. And it's not me. We have external validations because the 3 global rating agencies upgraded us in the course of last year, and they are maintaining a positive outlook for the country. And then, as you mentioned, we are in a fund review, and we successfully completed the second review and the first review of the climate resilience facility. Now, this is all on the back of the structural reforms, because that's something which has been elusive for Pakistan. And everyone talks about whether the reforms are happening or not happening. The reality is we are getting a lot of external and international recognition for the reforms which are not in a design phase, but which are very much in execution. That is our tax authority in terms of people, process, technology, and especially the role, you mentioned AI, the role that the technology is playing in terms of leading by data analytics and connecting the databases, leading by AI-led production monitoring to stop the leakages. And leakages is an euphemism in Pakistan for corruption. So the only way we can sort of bring it into the next order is through technology by reducing the human intervention. And we have made some good headway. We have a long way to go. Our tax to GDP is now, in double digits, but we still have some way to go before we can declare fiscal sustainability. Having said that, we are trying to bring those sectors which have been previously untaxed into the net and sort of expanding the tax net, because there is a discussion whether we are going back to the same for more, and there is an element of that. And the only way we can get out of that is by expanding the net and by ensuring that we have more compliance and enforcement through technology, etc. So I'll just give you a live example of what it actually means. Our NADRA, the institution which holds our database around our national identity card, they have my entire lifestyle data. Everything that I have, the houses, the travel that I do, the cars that I own, the utility bills that I pay, etc. And then FBR, which is our tax authority, has what I pay in my taxes. All we have done is we have connected these databases so that we can tell whether it's corporates or individuals what they owe to the government, backed by data, not through other means, etc. So So that's what's happening on the taxation side, on the energy side. Again, a lot of reforms which have happened on the power side. We have brought the circular debt down. We have brought governance. A lot of these boards of the distribution companies are now manned and womaned by private sector. The chairpersons are from the private sector. As I said, the circular debt is being brought down, and we have now 5 discos which have been put on the active privatization list. For 3, we have Alvarez & Marshall as sell-side advisor, and we have now a Turkish investment bank who are going to be advising on other 2 discos. Whether we go on outright privatization or we go the outsourcing model, a la Turkey, privatization commission will decide that as we go forward. The whole SOE reform is absolutely critical. We lose close to ₹1 trillion every single year in terms of the inefficiencies of the SOEs, etc. We have handed over 24 state-owned enterprises to the Privatization Commission, and the fact that after decades we have been able to privatize our national airline, I think is a huge, from our perspective, tailwind for the other privatization processes. And it ticks a lot of boxes. First of all, it's local investors, large local groups who collectively came in about $1 billion in bids. And then one of them made it. The second thing is, and Sabrina is sitting here, her group, had, made an investment of $500 million the year before in terms of the tower purchases in Pakistan. And I'm a firm believer, before we talk about FDI, before we talk about foreign investors, we have to give the level of comfort that the local investors want to invest in Pakistan. That's the starting point. And I think from that perspective, quite frankly, we are on our way. Then also in terms of public finance, debt servicing for us is our single largest expense item. And we have revamped our debt management office, which works directly under me. It's an ex-Deutsche guy who's sort of running the show. We have done liability management trades. We've done, created alpha to reduce the size of the debt servicing so that we can actually allocate these funds to other areas which are going to be critical. And we do plan to come back into the international capital markets this year. Right now, we are totally focused on printing the inaugural Panda bond for Pakistan. This is the first time Pakistan is going to access the Chinese capital markets, which is the second largest, second deepest capital market in the world. We have been remiss in not doing this before. We are just now waiting the final regulatory approval, and if all goes well, before the CNY, the Chinese New Year, we should be doing the inaugural Panda bond issuance. And then, of course, we will be looking at whether we go for US dollar, whether we go for euro, whether we go for Islamic Sukuk. Still, but this to me is important because you talked about multilaterals, you talked about the IMF. The importance for us to get back onto track where we have credibility with international investors, whether it's the capital markets or banks, I think is going to be very critical in terms of our road to the market. Now, where do we go from here? We've gone through boom and bust cycles. Every time we get into a stabilization phase, there is a gold rush. And, everyone, especially domestically, say, where's the growth? And because we have been import-dependent economy, the moment we put the foot on the accelerator and we reach a certain GDP growth, we essentially get into balance of payment problems. And it's only 4 years back we did try that. And we then go running back to the lender of the last resort. And therefore we are in the 24th IMF program. So this time around, under Prime Minister leadership, we are very clear it has to be export-led growth. Right? And it's not just the narrative. This is the only way we can get to sustainable growth. It's as simple as that. Right? So on July 1, while the world to a certain extent is moving in another direction, we went in with a new tariff regime in terms of reducing our regulatory duties, additional custom duties, and other areas so that we can make Pakistan's industry more competitive in terms of cheaper imports of raw materials, intermediate goods. And, there's been a lot of resistance in Pakistan around that because we have protected our industry for the longest time. And we cannot continue to do that. We have to make them competitive. We have to bring them, and I have said that in a number of ways. We have to give them competitive energy. We have to give them the right taxation regime, and we have to bring their financing costs down, which has come down. And that's one area where we have made very good progress. But having said that, our industry has to review and change their business models to make themselves competitive. Again, it's companies, it's countries. I was just saying to the MD when I was here last year, there was at that time there was discussion whether the rule-based order is going to go undergo a change. And I said I didn't realize how big a change is going to go. But everyone has to be adaptive. Everyone has to react, and our industry has to. So because I keep on saying it takes two to tango. We will do what we need to do, and then the industry has to do to make review their business models. So it has to be export-led and therefore sustainability-led model, and we will provide the ecosystem. Now this is all in the context what I call the old economy, and then we should talk about the new economy. Because AI is a big theme here this year. Now, AI for Pakistan means a number of things. I see it in the context of Web3, blockchain, AI, etc. Now, we have, and I know it's a big topic for you tomorrow, the top 5 freelancer population in the world. And, if they are doing coding at $12 to $14, and the first center of excellence has come in LUMS, it's a very renowned university out of Lahore, and it's actually an American Pakistani who has done extremely well for himself in the US, who was given a $13 million donation to LUMS to set up a blockchain center of excellence. If we can, and a lot of my IT colleagues are sitting here, if we can upscale and rescale our youth and the freelancers, they can start coding anywhere from $50 to $60 to $250 per hour. Fantastic for them, great for the country, right? I mean, we were just talking about IT export, right? For the first time in our history, IT services exports have touched $430 million, or $437 million to be exact, in December, right? So this means this is going to exceed $4 billion, right? Okay, I was saying $5 billion. All right, fantastic. So if you think about it in the context of our traditional export base, which has been hovering around $30 billion for the last couple of decades. We go up, we go down, plus 5%, minus 5%, and in one go, right, that's the kind of thing which is coming through. Now, even before I come to crypto and everything else, I do want to touch on the minerals and mining, because you just mentioned that. Single largest syndication in the history of Pakistan, which IFC led. $3.5 billion of syndication, which has been closed for the RecoDic project. And in that context, in fact, it would have been completed in October, but the US government went into a shutdown. And we were really wanting for US Exim to come in, because a lot of procurement has to come from there, and it was important for them to participate in the main syndication. And they did come in. And as Zarrar rightly pointed out, first year of export, which should be 2028 in terms of commercial operation, will be $2.8 billion. Again, in the context of our traditional export base, that's 10% of our traditional export base. So what we really need to figure out is how do we bridge between now and 28. And 28 is not the North Star, because Ricodec is the first mine. And there are other projects which are underway, because from our perspective, the Tatian Belt in Balochistan is Pakistan's supply side response to the inevitable energy shortage, copper shortage, as the world moves towards energy transition and EV transitions, etc. So I think it's the first one. There are other projects in our play which are going to come in, and hopefully that will allow us to move then into smelting, because single mine cannot allow us to go into value addition. But when you get into scale, we can get into smelting, and then the value addition, the way nickel has been for Indonesia, copper, inshallah, will be for Pakistan as we go forward. And therefore, this export-led strategy, I mean, a lot of people say, where is the export? Where is the strategy? We need to bridge between now and 28, and between IT and mills and mining in terms of what I call the new economy. I think we will, inshallah, will be in a very sustainable position as we go forward. The last thing I just want to mention is a little bit about AI and crypto. I chaired the Pakistan Crypto Council when I was here at this time last year. If you look at chain analysis, we were number 10. Then we became number 7. And beginning of last year, we were number 3. 40 million crypto users in Pakistan. So, and it's all happening outside the formal economy. So we formed the Crypto Council. Now we have PWARA. We are very grateful to the White House. We are very grateful to the UAE government in terms of the support that we have received in terms of forming this regulatory authority. We have given 2 NOCs to HTX and Binance in terms of looking and thinking through tokenization. We are looking at public debt as the first use case, moving on to remittances, moving on to real estate, and see how we take that forward. Because from our perspective, it's not only about the use cases, it's also looking at KYC, AML, suitability, etc. We have to bring it into the regulated environment, as we go forward. So, I think the Prime Minister is about to arrive. So I think this will be a good place where I can stop and just giving a little bit of snapshot of where we are. But things are looking up. We, again, as I said, there's no room for complacency for Pakistan. We have a long way to go. We have to get away from these boom and bust cycles. And therefore, we need a little bit of patience to ensure that we don't get into that rut again. We are very grateful to all our bilateral partners, and you'll hear from the Prime Minister as well. They have supported us through thick and thin, because there are not many countries in the world who can talk about US and China in the same breath. And we are very fortunate at this point in time to do exactly that. So from that perspective, I think all our, we have the right pillars in place for taking the country to the next level. I keep on saying the ball is in our court. How we capitalize on this, how we sort of take it forward and don't miss the opportunity this time around. Thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you very much, Senator Aurangzeb. This was very heartening to hear, and I should have also mentioned the discovery of antimony, which I think for people who follow rare earth minerals and so forth is a critical element of people who sort of invest in military equipment, things like night goggles and so forth, and I think will be one of those critical discoveries for Pakistan as well. So hopefully the government is investing in the infrastructure to develop antimony as well. So, I wish you the best of luck. Maybe while we're waiting for the Prime Minister to arrive, you can touch, I know you talked about privatization, but maybe I have a personal interest in it. Maybe you can touch a little bit more on the PIA privatization process. And rather than looking backwards, how do you see that playing out now in the future? because obviously the government still has a role there because, there were elements of PIA that the government has kept. So how do you see that going forward, sort of moving forward?
Yeah, so I would give a lot of credit to the caretaker administration because that's where it all started in terms of parking the liabilities into a holdco, and the two hotels, which is Roosevelt and Stripe, have been parked there. So a lot of, I would say, old PIA. So that was carved out, and the debt was termed out. So the PIA which the investors have now gotten is sort of the new PIA or the clean PIA. And I think that's quite frankly how we have to look at all things going forward in terms of stock and what we do with the stock, how we stop the bleeding, and how we take the new course forward. So it's a good way, because if you ask investors to come in and essentially, and I have no problem in saying that in terms of decades of negligence, decades of mismanagement, decades of kicking the can down the road, and you ask the new investors to come in and say, you have to take the good with the bad, all of that, it doesn't work. In real life, it doesn't work. And therefore, I think PIA is a good way to sort of think through it. But then in terms of privatization, we have insurance assets. Insurance is profitable. Right. But, and that was, I head the cabinet committee on state-owned enterprises. So two things which, people come and tell me. A, we are doing God's work, and therefore don't touch us. And B, don't worry about it. While it might not have worked for a number of years, this time around, inshallah, it will go forward. And it's tough to swallow that. And therefore, we have sort of taken it and we've given it to the Cabinet Committee on Privatization with DPM chairs, and then into, as I said, 24 state-owned enterprises on the active privatization list. The other thing which I think where we would request help is, having sell-side advisors, people like yourself, in terms of providing the right counsel, in terms of international legal experiences, etc. And, we've had a bit of a challenge because for a couple of decades, people have seen that the government is not serious about privatization, is not serious about private sector leading the country. And I think this one sort of ticks a lot of boxes to say we are serious, we are going to see things through the finishing line. And as I said, it's the 5 discos. We have the outsourcing of the 3 airports. We have the insurance assets, and there are a number of other financial institutions which are in the active privatization list as well.
Well, you always have my services pro bono, so I always, for Pakistan, I'll offer them for free. That's perfectly fine. The other thing you didn't touch upon was the stock market, and sort of the recent rise, where you see. But do you feel more reforms are needed in terms of? I know you talked about obviously having the local investors first dealt with, but obviously for a stock market to fully mature, you do need foreign investors ultimately to fully participate.
Yeah, my information is slightly dated because I looked at it about a couple of hours back. It has hit a new high today. I think the index crossed about 189,000. So no, I think the way I look at it, whatever is happening in the stock market, etc., is a derivative of what's happening in the real economy. And I look at it from a couple of perspectives. One is that the corporate profitabilities are real. There are about 120,000 new investors which have come in, investing in the stock market. We had 9 IPOs, 9 IPOs last year, and there are 16 IPOs this year in the pipeline. Now, to me, that is what really, encourages me that given the buoyancy in the stock market, all these entrepreneurs are are willing to come in with ECM, with the equity capital market issues. And they must be doing it because they are wanting to do modernization, they want to go for expansion, and we are beginning to see some of that coming through in terms of the growth. Because last fiscal year, our economy grew at 3.1%. The first quarter of this fiscal year, the economy grew at 3.7%. LSM, after a long time, has shown a growth of 6% year on year. And so to me, I sort of connect some of these data points and see that if people are coming in and wanting to do IPOs, they must be doing it because they see real opportunity in terms of expanding their businesses, etc. as we go forward. So I see stock market very much then in the context of the real economy. But it is a fantastic data point to see how things are moving forward.
I know this might be slightly outside your area, but in terms of trade, and obviously there's been, as finance, you do get involved with trade and so forth, with the trade barriers that have been thrown up. I mean, has that given Pakistan other opportunities to enter into agreements with countries, around those?
Well, it is certainly outside my area of expertise, but a little bit that I know about trade is because I was asked to negotiate the tariffs with the US. So I led that discussion with Ambassador Jair and Secretary Lutnick. I think we overall landed relatively well at 19% compared to our sort of regional competitors. But we just need to, it's a rapidly changing world.
Yes.
So we just need to make sure that we stay where we negotiated the tariff deal with the US by 31st of July, and then ensure that our industry becomes competitive to take advantage of the competitive element that we have at this point in time. But so as I said, not my area of expertise, but I got to learn a lot about trade over the last year or so.
I'd like to welcome the Prime Minister, our distinguished guest, Shehbaz Sharif. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. I'd like to thank our Finance Minister for the keynote speech. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate your time. And with that, I'll hand over to our Prime Minister. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ikram Sehgal, host of this wonderful gathering of Pakistani entrepreneurs and international dignitaries and illustrious businessmen and women, Deputy Prime Minister of Pakistan, Zarrar, Finance Minister, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, guten morgen, and assalamu alaikum to all of you. It's really a great honor and a pleasure to be here, and I'm very grateful to Mr. Ikram Sehgal, whom I've met maybe after 2 to 3 decades, in fact. But Alhamdulillah is in very good health, and his son is now leading the show. Finance Minister has already spoken to you and given you a very clear picture of Pakistan's economic and social situation. And I wouldn't want to really repeat those points because that would be very boring for you here in Davos. Of course, it's a very chilly morning, at least for me. But I think headwinds are making it warmer and challenging, in fact. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan, Alhamdulillah, is now out of woods. Back in 2023, in the month of June, The economy was in a very fragile situation, and I was concerned. My concern was shared by the then finance minister sitting on my left. I was concerned that, God forbid, we could really default on our sovereign financial obligation and commitment. And I met Managing Director of IMF in Paris in June 2023, and that was a turning point. We agreed on a short program, and now it is a thing of the past. Pakistan is now moving forward with a sense of achievement and a sense of purpose. Our macroeconomic indicators are pretty reassuring. Our inflation rate is down from 30% to 5.5%. Our policy rate has come down from a steep 22.5% to 10.5%. Our IT exports are really showing very reassuring progress. Our exports collectively do face different kind of challenges. And of course, our social indicators need to be improved through continuous joint efforts. But the way forward is very clear, that Pakistan has to have an export-led growth. We have brought in fundamental structural changes in our system. And I would share with you a few important milestones, and it might look odd, particularly to our Pakistani brothers and sisters sitting here, because it is something repeated many times in the past, but something achieved not in a proper, significant fashion in the preceding decades. We have brought in fundamental changes in our revenue collection system, and it is now being completely digitized. And our tax collection to our GDP ratio is 10.5% today, which was 9% a couple of years ago. This is a significant achievement. Secondly, our agri export last year have been very reassuring. We are now into mines and minerals business in a big way. We have signed agreements, MOUs with American companies and Chinese companies. And Pakistan, by the grace of God, ladies and gentlemen, has been blessed by Allah Almighty with infinite natural resources, still buried in the heap of mountains in north of Pakistan, Gilgit-Baltistan, Azad Kashmir, the province of KP and Balochistan. But we have now decided to go forward at lightning speed. And we are also moving speedily in the field of crypto, AI, IT. And our IT exports have shown remarkable progress in the last few years. In that we brought a lot of instruments which have facilitated IT exports, which stand at $3 billion annually officially. They say there is also a portion of unofficial transaction, but we are all trying to make it transparent. And our youth bulge is a challenge as well as a great opportunity. Therefore, Government of Pakistan, along with provincial governments, have come forward with many programs to empower our youth through vocational training. NEFTA is a entity at the federal level, providing modern training to our youth, and those training programs are duly vetted by third-party audits, and combined with that is international certification. And as a result, our youth are getting ready, productive employments in Gulf states and other parts of the world because they are highly qualified and highly trained, as I said, certified by international companies in this field. With China, we have strong economic connections, and now we have built relations with the United States. And as I said earlier on, in the field of mines and minerals, there is great hope that we are going to cooperate with each other in a big way. In counter-terrorism, we're going to cooperate with each other in a big way. In IT, in AI. So I think Pakistan is at a point of time where we are going to take off rapidly in agriculture, in industry, in mining industry, AI and IT. And I think our future is very promising. I have no doubt about it. Couple of more things which should be soothing to your ear. Those who believe in Pakistan's strength, that this government is moving forward with complete transparency. For example, we just had privatization of Pakistan International Airlines, which is a national asset. Unfortunately, in the last few decades, it had received setbacks, and now this has been bought by private sector in Pakistan. Its privatization has been completely transparent. Every aspect of this privatization was thrown up by Pakistani channels, and it was shown live all over the world. So the entire nation saw for the first time how transparent this transaction has been, and there hasn't been even a squeak about its authenticity, I think, which is our hallmark. We are now moving forward in other areas of privatization, outsourcing of airports, privatization of our power sector, distribution companies, transmission lines, and so on and so forth. However, this is also correct that as a result of very stringent IMF program, to which we have adhered to in letter and spirit, restoring our credibility, because this has been a story of hide and seek in the last many decades. We had a program, we scuttled it and said goodbye to them. So there was a level of mistrust, a gap between IMF and Pakistan. That gap has been completely bridged through honoring our commitments, tough as they were for the common man. The common man had to sacrifice, had to pay a lot of price to honor these commitments. And that's why IMF is now, these days, I would say very cautiously, using Pakistan's success story as a role model in third world countries. And now we have to move forward towards growth. I'm meeting IMF Managing Director after this interaction, and we will discuss very frankly our achievements, our structural reforms, privatization, those entities which were bleeding our economy, like, for example, utility stores, which would offer substandard goods to the common man. Corruption was rampant, and bureaucracy used it as its fiefdom, has been completely shut down, and this bleeding is over forever. Similarly, and this has saved billions of rupees to the exchequer. Similarly, PASCO, Pakistan Agricultural Storage Organization, something like that, was again another den of corruption that's been closed, saving billions of rupees of Pakistan's poor people. Similarly, Pakistan Works Department, infamously known as PWD, has been closed because there wasn't a more corrupt entity than this one in the entire Pakistan. It's been closed. There have been challenges, pressures from vested interest in the form of protest from the employees, and obviously given nod from certain quarters. But we were absolutely unwavering in our commitment that if we did not do this, we will not be fair to ourselves and to the people of Pakistan. So, ladies and gentlemen, this procedure is moving very rapidly, and I think unless and until we stop this bleeding of our economy through these measures, challenging as they are, our economy will not be on sound footing, no matter what we do. So I think this is a result of collective efforts, and it may sound to you a bit odd, but I have to say with fullest force at my command that these achievements have been made through collective efforts, through teamwork. And that means that complete harmony between political hierarchy and military hierarchy. And please don't misconstrue my statement. We are living in the part of the world where we had 4 martial laws. And for the rest of the time, establishment used to convey many things on important issues. So, the point at issue is that we must understand the ground reality. And if we have to serve the common man of Pakistan, if we have to get rid of our mounting debts, both foreign and internal, if we have to alleviate poverty, unemployment, if we have to make our country prosperous, and progressing by every moment, then there has to be a sense of understanding between various stakeholders, a sense of ownership, and a sense of purpose to move forward. Difficult as it is, we have reached an understanding, a program for the larger interest of Pakistan. That doesn't mean that we are in total agreement on all issues. Where there is complete unanimity, we accept those points and move forward. Where there is some kind of contentious discussion, we keep that at back burner. So that's how, ladies and gentlemen, and I've been very honest to you and very straightforward. It would be dishonest on my part to twist things and convey you, a picture which is not based on facts. Harsh as they are, hard as they are, you have to accept them and move forward in unison. Inshallah, Pakistan is at a cross point where it is about to take off in terms of its growth, because we are a country with 240 million people. We are a country with a youth bulge, which, as I said, is a great challenge as well as an opportunity. And we are absolutely committed to convert this into an opportunity by providing them all those tools and opportunities which will make our country great. We will meet challenges on the way. We'll have a bumpy road on the way. But as long we are committed to serve the country with untiring efforts and with our blood and sweat, I have no doubt that we'll see and meet our destination one day soon. Through untiring efforts, selfless sacrifices, and of course, through unity of thought and action.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. We all pray for your and Pakistan's success. Thank you very much for your words, and please another hand of applause for the Prime Minister. I will next ask the Deputy Prime Minister, Sehgal, to say a few words. Thank you, sir. Obviously, a former finance minister as well, and also serves in the role as a foreign minister as well.
Shukriya, Janab. Honorable Prime Minister, fellow ministers, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here after some while. I've been attending this breakfast meeting, and credit goes to Mr. Sehgal, who has been holding me over 2 decades. We had very interesting discussions in the past on this forum. Very useful, very informative. I won't repeat anything about economy. Prime Minister and our Honorable Finance Minister must have run you through. As Prime Minister said, from stability, now the path is towards growth, because a country having around 2.5% population growth cannot live with 2.5% or 3% growth. So Prime Minister and finance team is actively pursuing this goal, and I'm sure this is nothing unachievable. Country has shown its resilience. In 2017, we reached 6.3% growth. We had the highest foreign exchange reserves, and we had very low inflation at 3.59. So that means that Pakistan has the capacity to reach those, great targets again. We were declared globally 24th global economy, and we were just 4 notches away to be part of the G20. So unfortunately, fast forward 4 years, 2018-2022, we fell to 47th economy, and Prime Minister has dilated, the challenges he had to face in PDM government when he assumed the prime ministership in April 2022. So we are out of work. Stability is there. Now the work is for growth. Few words on Pakistan, which was known to be diplomatically isolated. Just 3 years back, We are fully engaged and integrated with the international system. Alhamdulillah, it is now difficult for Prime Minister to choose whom to invite because so many great dignitaries wish to visit Pakistan, and where we should go because there are a large list of pending the invitation for Prime Minister to visit. So this is something unique as opposed to 2012 when we won the UN Security Council election with just one vote. This time we had 182 versus 5. So this is this is what the global confidence is there. We are playing all proactive role under the leadership of Prime Minister in all burning issues. It is a very serious phase in the global diplomacy. It's it's a transformative phase, a challenging phase. You're seeing all over from north to south and east to west. So we are engaged everywhere, very proactively, staying in the low radar and trying to contribute our share in order to achieve the peace and stability around the globe. So we are engaged with our neighbor partners. We are engaged globally. We are engaged with all international forums. So I'm sure you will have many good news to hear in the due course, inshallah. I wish you all the best. Enjoy your Davos stay. And I've been working through the night last night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Prime Minister. And with that, I'll hand it over to Chairman Ikram Sehgal to give a word of thanks.
Prime Minister, thank you very much for coming. In fact, I don't think you remember, but it was the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif who first brought me to Davos in 1993 and became a member in 1994. Yes, absolutely. And Prime Minister, I will say this to you, that the success of your government, the acid test of your government, is how the people in your cabinet react. Firing up Mr. Zarrar, I will get a call back from Beijing, and I will get a call back from Jeddah. If I ring up Mr. Aurangzeb, he will ring me up, and I'm sorry to wake him up in the middle of the night, sometime in the States and sometime in UK. That is what is required. Response. Now, what is the Pathfinder agenda? Pathfinder agenda is Pakistan. Nothing but Pakistan. Whatever we do here, for 22 years, you think we've been having the Pakistan breakfast. We have never taken any money from government. It's always been private sector and always been supported by the private sector. And we've achieved a lot. Today, Prime Minister, let me tell you, when you go into the Congress Center, you will find something that you probably do not know about. Agent interoperability of Pakistan is being showcased as a remarkable achievement in the world. That means that any person who is on Asan mobile account, which was the World Bank initiative for financial inclusion and women empowerment, and which we've got Asan mobile account, people who could not open an account because they could not go to the bank, they did not have internet, they can open an account in less than 2 minutes on their telephone. Prime Minister, we have 13.5 million accounts today with 16 banks. 16 banks. Any poor person, anybody, can go to any bank branch of any of the places, 16 banks. He may be of Habib Bank, he may be of UBAIL. He can go and cash a check or deposit check in any of the branches of any of the banks. More than that, he can do that in Easy Paisa agents, 70,000 of them. Anybody. He doesn't have to be a UBL account holder, etc. That is what the World Economic Forum has recognized us as a Sun mobile account. That is what we protect. Why? Because we targeted the poor, the undeserved. Before we came into the picture, we are regulated by the State Bank and the PTA. 80% of Pakistan's adult population did not have bank accounts. Today, 70% does not have bank accounts because of our 13.5 million accounts. But this is growing by the day. And today we are actually doing a lot. And we are happy to tell you that, something initiative we are talking to one of the great investors in Pakistan, Mr. Tomsky of InDrive, which is, leaving aside InDrive. We're talking about how anti-smoke things we can do together in Pakistan. It's totally CSR activity, right? So now I will just say thank you again, and Prime Minister, we look forward to welcoming you again next year, inshallah.